morning, everybody. Tupy here, coming to show you Alpine. Now, I will shout out a big apology for the pigs and the roosters and the dogs. It is what it is. When you got over 30 fowl, F-O-W-L, and 10 dogs and pigs and all that, you just can't do a video without having ambiance and background noise. So just apologize. However, let's go ahead and show you what I have on my camper. Now I am going to do two parts here. One is to explain the history of why I put this stuff on my camper and that makes Texas so great, which I love Texas. Speaking of liking, if you like, give me a thumbs up. If you don't like me, give me a thumbs up. Do a little subscribe if you want me to see paint a little later. I'm going to go ahead and start from the top. Now, why do I have a tank on the camper? Because we have Huey tanks. H-U-E-C-O. Now, most people pronunciate that wrong, which be me is one of them. They have no tanks, okay? Huey means Spanish. Spanish means, no, that's not what it means. It doesn't mean it means hollow. Now, if I say something wrong or spell it wrong, forgive me, because I am dyslexic, so don't be commenting that I misspelled something or said something wrong, because it happens all the time. That's just moi. So anyhow, Huey means hollow in Spanish because the depressions in the rock would hold water. And it's a place that's just north of Waco that is just a fun place to go camping and hiking. Okay, next one. Star. Why do I have a star in El Paso? Because if you've been through El Paso at night, you know that they have a huge star on their mountain. They started doing that back in 1940. They had it was massive. I think it was huge, and it still is huge. But they had a storm that blew all the light bulbs out and stuff like that. So I think it was about 6 years later they decided to do it again. But they were only doing it at Christmas time. It was a way of doing like a Christmas decoration. However, now back in 1993 they started doing daily lighting. So if you drive through El Paso, you will see that. Now if you go through El Paso too, there is the largest Holstein dairy farm I have ever gone through on Highway 10. And let me just tell you, you're going to need a nose clip because there's a lot of cows. Guy has too many cows. BH, 1916. John Bankhead was the man who did a road. Some of it's still existing, some of it's not still existing, and it goes all the way through Texas. Kind of where Mount Vernon is and kind of near El Paso. It was back in Washington, D.C., goes all the way to San Diego. He wanted to make people travel and get out and explore. Big thumbs up on that. And in that, I'm going to tell you about 3 shows that I watch. Not 2.5 shows, but 3 shows. Get that? I'm the only one that can do fractions. The thing about that's another story for itself. The thing about the shows, I get a lot of people that tell me what to put on this camper, as well as I watch TV shows that are educational shows. There's 3, KERA is one of the shows that I really, really like. Bob Phillips, Texas Country Reporter. Big shout out to him. Love your program. Keep on keeping on with that. Chet Garner, Day Tripper. Love that show. I love his graphics. I wouldn't mind getting creative like he does. He's hilarious. Love him. He goes and he told me about a few things that I went ahead and came back on my camper and added. And the 3rd show is Don't Kick the Bucket, Texas Bucket List. Sean, I think is his name. Shane, I think is his. Anyhow, those are 3 really great shows if you want to know about Texas to check out. And they're going to give you tidbits of why Texas is so great. And it is so big. Oh my Lord, it's big. So, I'm doing 2 tutorials. As you can tell, I'm doing the history of why I put things on the camper. The second one will be me painting and retouching everything up to go from blah to lustery. Okay, so back to the history lesson. Big Ben. Why do I have a bear on Big Bend? Well, the reason is there are black bears in the Big Bend area. There's two parks, a state park and a national park. The national park is 3 times larger than the state park. It's much more well maintained. The Rio Grande runs right through it, so if you ever want to go down to Big Bend, highly recommend taking a rafting tour that they have through there. It's also the safest way of exploring this area. There's somewhat of a reputation that it's not safe, but it is actually. If you are nervous, take your snub nose. That's a joke. But most of the time, you're out in the middle of nowhere. There's hardly anybody out there. I mean, you can get lost for weeks, months. All right, so this is the Alpine area. This is why I put the horseshoe, because this is the Alpine area, and I'm going to touch this up a whole lot better. These are cowboys doing Dutch oven cooking, and they do also a poetry in the Alpine area. They have a poetry competition and a chili competition, and it's just this kind of cowboy country, and it's kind of like Arizona. It reminds me a little bit of Arizona, just woody and deserty. And so, why do I have Wile E. Coyote taped to my camper? Ta-da! Wiley liked to chase a roadrunner. Fort Stockton has the largest roadrunner you will ever see. It's massive. It is a photo op just to go to Fort Stockton just to take a picture of the roadrunner. Underneath near there is, in Fort Davis, I wrote Frank Observatory. That is wrong. It's the Mcdonald Observatory, and then there's also a Frank Observatory, but it's not called an observatory. I think it's called the Frank Museum, and there's and they do give tours to this place. Highly recommend going to Mcdonald Observatory. They have an area around here that they protect for the light, so you can actually see the stars. They have this massive telescope that John McDonald, I want to say it's John. Anyways, Mr. McDonald was a banker. He contributed between about $800,000 to have this put in, and there was, if you ever research it, it's pretty phenomenal how it got started. And I believe North Texas runs it now. There is Goodnight. They call it the Goodnight Loving Trail. Charles Goodnight and Oliver Loving did a trail. He is related to Mary Ann Goodnight, who saved the buffalo. That's why I put that on there. There's several trails that I have on there. Let's see here. I know I was missing something. Oh, no, that's for another. Okay. The second thing here is Belmora. I don't know if I'm saying that right now. Belmoria. It's a pool. It's a natural spring pool. It's closed right now. They're doing restoration on it. They had some issues with it, but it was a natural spring, and you could go in there and swim at this pool out in the middle of nowhere, and you'd be swimming with fishes, and they'd be nibbling on your toes, and pretty cool area, especially if you like snorkeling. It was worth going to. So when they open it up, I highly recommend going back to that. And the last and final thing is the Guadalupe Peaks. Now, the Guadalupe Peaks is the highest elevation we have in Texas. It's 8,749. I'm looking at it and I can't even say it. So, anywho, that is, I'm trying to get this off here. That is our highest peak. The reason I have this emblem right here, doggone it, well, that's all right. I know what I need to say. It's a statue. It has this emblem on it, and if you make it to the peak, which I highly recommend going to, bring water, and a shout out to my friend Mo. You know who you are. I want to keep it private, but she is she has a saying, make every breath count. She just got through doing a double transplant, lung transplant, and she does pulmonary fibrosis fundraiser. If you want to look her up, I think it's called Mo. Mo Team. Oh, Team Oxymo Run. That's what Oxymo. Get it? Oxymoron. She's hilarious. Anyway, love her. Thought I'd go ahead and give her a shout out to the Guadalupe Peaks. Hope you get to climb that sometime and get that signed up, as well as your other adventures. With all that being said, I think I missed something. A glider. That's what I missed. I knew I was missing something. The glider is something you can rent. Somebody will fly you out with it, and you can fly around this area and see all the really cool places to do. Highly recommend doing that. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and conclude our little tutorial history lesson of this section of Texas. It's just a small little section. If you have something you want me to add, put me in there, and if I can fit it, I will. And if I like it, I will. So for the painting, stay tuned. We'll get to that.